Hello and welcome to another video. In this video we're going over AP Power Tech. We're running no accuracy in this situation, and we also have another PT playing with us. We're not duo queued, we're just two solo queue players running into each other. This match is relatively balanced, even though it completely doesn't, because it doesn't look like that, because we just annihilated them and we're going to continue annihilating them for the rest of the match. But in general, the skill level of the allies on our team are worse than their average. So on average, their team is better than us, but the two top tier players are much better than everybody in the lobby. Unfortunately, matchmaking will just sometimes do that. We are solo players, so it's not like this is a pre-made issue. This is also something that will happen if we ever had a pure solo queue mode. Like this would happen. Like really skilled players would be chapped with people that really just aren't that good to balance out the MMR for one side of the team. And the other team will be more so average skill rating on the enemy team to match that. And chances are the enemy team is always going to have the advantage because they have more solid players, while we have more bad players. Even if we have two good players, all it takes is a numbers advantage on those really good players to usually deal with them. And if your enemy team can get numbers advantage on, or I guess your own team can get numbers, the enemy team can get numbers advantage on your not so good players, chances are they're going to lose. So it's just a lose-lose situation. One way to think of it is that if you have really good players, having them fight multiple players at once, 9 times out of 10 is beneficial for your team, objectively speaking, because that means everywhere else there's less friction, I guess you could say, or less fighting or less opposition to stop them. So it's something very important to think about. So for example, my role back when I played with ranked 8 VA players, I pretty much only played objectives for a good long time. It wasn't until 8.0, or not 8.0, my bad, 5.0 that I kind of stopped caring. That's mostly because I would play darkness or concealment or whatever, run the hub wall. Literally nobody would try to stop me at all. There would be no opposition. I would find that incredibly boring. I enjoyed the opposition because usually when I played objectives, it would be forcing a fight the entire time I'm playing the objective. So there wouldn't really be action missing. It would just be constant fighting the entire time, except for I would also be playing objective at the same time. Now, that's not the case. People avoid combat at all costs. A lot of the objective, forcing things, are just not seeing combat. So it's not the same anymore. And when I started playing against virtually nobody stopping me, I was like, okay, I don't really like this anymore. It's not enjoyable. I'm not getting the fight. So I started chasing team fights because that's what I found more enjoyable. And the only way that I could get mental engagement, because playing objectives versus nobody is not fun. I might as well just play Flashpoint because it'll be more rewarding. So getting into obviously the numbers advantage strategy. So let's say playing a Civil War is the greatest example that I can create. Back then people knew how to node defend a lot better than what they do now, even though I have a video explaining node defending to a T and how to basically never lose a node defending battle, if that makes sense. There are some situations where you can, and I explain how to deal with those too. So if you guys are interested in that, I highly recommend checking that out. It's a short video, so it's only a minute. So that means there's a lot of information in just that minute, and that can help you. And if you have any questions about that, I'll be more than happy to help you. Objectives are really not that complicated, and I'd be more than happy to explain any questions, objectively speaking, or any scenarios, or anything that you can think of and you don't know how to deal with it. Promise me, just ask. I'll be more than happy to help. And if I can't answer it, I can find you somebody that can. So anyway, getting into how it works. We send 6 players mid, right? It's a team fight. We have one person on our node, gets our node, nobody's contesting him. And typically it would be a 7 versus 7 mid and 1 on a node defend for each team. Because most people would give mutual respect to their node defenders to be good enough to not, lose and whatnot. But let's say you don't give that mutual respect and you assume that you have better duelists than they do, and maybe a worse team fight. So you'll send somebody over there to fight the node defender. Ultimately, what will happen is that they'll send another person. If they think that you're good, they'll send another person immediately. So my job would be to basically 2v1 or 1v1 if they had enough ego to do so, and usually I would win that. And if I didn't win that, I would win it after probably the second time coming back, because they don't have defensives, they don't have cooldowns, they have nothing to basically outplay. Even if their class had an advantage, like someone offered Deception Assassin, even if they had advantage at delaying, the advantage would be gone after the second time I come back. So if that makes sense, you can follow that. You can understand eventually there's going to be more people to defend that node just for that one person, creating a numbers advantage in the team fight. So eventually it'll be, instead of a 6 versus 7, it'll be a 6 versus 6. And if they still can't deal with me, it's going to be a 5 versus 6. If they still can't deal with me, I'm just going to take the node. If I just take the node, then our team then transitions to defending that node, and then I go attack the other node, which would be the mid node, and I'll be team fighting in mid. And at this point, what they can do is either attack one of the side nodes or commit to team fight middle. And with me in the team fight, chances are we're just going to no longer be at a numbers advantage or disadvantage, and probably win. And if we are at a numbers advantage, it's only by one person. So this does mean that in general, there's a lot of situations where people will just get skill checks. That's just how it is, how it's always been. It's a lot of issues that we currently have in PvP are skill check issues. A lot of people just don't do damage. A lot of people just don't know what they're doing. No offense to them. It's not it's not a competitive game. By no means am I saying that these players, like, oh, they shouldn't play PvP. No, I think they should play PvP. They are vital to PvP. I just think it could be made better for them if they bothered to learn. And most of the time they don't have incentives to learn, and a lot of people are very prone to blaming other people rather than looking at their own issues, you know, stuff like that. It's the same thing in real life, right? But also people just play to have a good time, and sometimes having a good time is playing objectives, sometimes it's just killing people. It's not something to think too deep into, right? Another reason to like not want to play objectives or get bored of objectives too is being the only person playing objectives is really not fun, especially when you throw it to somebody and they throw it away. Like, there's only so much frustration you can take. There's so many reasons as to why somebody won't do what you expect them to do. It's not even funny. Like, there's people who are lagging out, people with low frame rate, people that quite literally are opening windows on accident. And like, I don't know if any of you guys have opened a window that you haven't opened in a while, like the legacy panel or whatever, and how much that lags your system, on top of like just having a whole bunch of people hitting you all at the same time. It's enough to lag you out until you die. So there's a lot of things that people could accidentally do or just have happen that would explain the situation, and you wouldn't know that situation unless you could actually see the PvP. So there's a lot of reasons why somebody doesn't do what you expect them to do, and it's not worth it to get frustrated over. I know a lot of people do get frustrated over it. A lot of people that just play only objectives in this game. I'm not trying to make a correlation or anything here, but a lot of them drink, and they drink heavily. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing or anything. I'm just saying, you know, drinking's not, it's not solving the problem. Obviously, do whatever you want. You drink, smoke, anything like that. I don't care. Nobody really cares. It's your life. You live it the way you want to. But in general, it's probably not healthy to be an unhappy drunk because people are not doing what you expect them to. You should find your own fun and just chill. Like, game's not competitive anymore. Hasn't been competitive for a long time. It probably never will be ever again. It's unfortunate, but I play to have fun. That's what I do. And strategically, there are advantages to what I do. Even though I'm not directly playing the objective, I am making space for my team to play the objective against basically nobody. One example here is that this Sork shouldn't be here. This Sork is too squishy to be over here, and they're also just not contributing that much. They're not doing that much damage. They're not really doing anything. They should be on the other side of our team, clearing out the enemy team. Because all three of us are really tanky, it makes them the best target to hit. So therefore, they're just kind of being not effective over here. I'm not saying that they're bad, I'm just saying they're not effective being over here. which is basically because they're squishy. We're incredibly tanky compared to them. That means they need to be over there capitalizing on our team fight. And we can basically abuse our tankiness and our ability to play on these guys, always create a numbers advantage. We'll eventually end up taking this node, and you'll see how many points that we got off of just kills. Had our team just stayed together and not like trolled, we would have been able to clear them and get the node sooner and pretty much win off of kills way sooner than what we did. We ended up losing because our team just can't get it together. So outside of explaining like the strategy of numbers advantage and kind of like how you play off node and stuff like that, there are strategies for like this match and like this mode. Typically speaking, you only want to send tanky classes to 1vx to create numbers advantage on the nodes if it's not been capped. So in this situation, neither been capped, so it's very important to try to do as much as we can. I commit to playing the objective here and happy to die because I know I can survive long enough to deny them hilo. This is not initially what I wanted to do, this is not my plan, but I committed to finalizing it and making sure that they didn't cap it. At any moment I could have walked away, probably survived and played a little bit more selfishly and let them cap there and probably win. But instead, we stopped them efficiently on both sides, which was good. But if we had that sword probably on the other side the entire time and we always used the numbers advantage on the other side, we probably would have took the other node just through raw advantage of having more people. Now this doesn't mean that we're skill checking them. When you have more players than an enemy team, chances are skill plays less of a factor than anything. So when you have the advantage, it's no longer skill, it's just brute force. Now when you actually have skill, when you have the few amount of players versus the many, that's where skill comes into play. If you're actually able to get something done in that situation, that's just skill checking the people that are trying to basically brute force you. Now, not all the time will you see something like that happen, it's incredibly hard. A lot of tools that would create like skill checks and skill gaps and have like a higher skill ceiling or ability to like outplay somebody are flat out removed. There's so many things that used to be in this game that would allow you to do so much more than what you can currently do. And now they're just gone. They're not there anymore, so really good players don't get to shine as much as they used to anymore. And when it comes to numbers advantage is stronger than it's ever been before. Damage is so high in fact that just alone, you see me global people. I've uploaded so many globals recently, not really like globals, but like kills and unders in mere seconds. There's 6-man DPS groups that have took longer than the time that I do to kill one person for 6 players to hit one person to kill them. And that person could not even be taking any defensive talents. For example, there's been times where I've taken no defensive talents, and I've still killed people in like a 5-stack of DPS or 6-stack of DPS and had no defensive talents at all. It's pure PvE talents, no defensive or survival dueling talents that most people will end up taking. And I'll still kill them. I'll kill them faster than they can kill me. And that's just an example of skill difference, just flat out skill difference. It's what it is. There's no other way to like skip around it or hop around it or say it nicely. It's just, that's what the difference is. You should not need 6 players to kill one person. It's just not a thing. And when one person can kill somebody just as fast as 6 players take to kill one person, I don't know, man, like it's just not right. And sometimes it just happens that way. So obviously some classes are tankier and than others, and there's some classes that are just really good at bursting, like APPT for example. So I'm not talking about APPT because I understand that's an outlier, and I understand that rage is also an outlier, and hatred sometimes is an outlier because it's incredibly easy to kill, but it's also very good at doing damage, and not too many people are very good at doing damage with it. So it is something to think about. Typically, I don't, just in my opinion, I don't feel like I need other DPS to help me to kill somebody. I kill them just fine. Obviously, throw in 1 DPS, this is what it's like, you know, throw somebody that's, you know, also doing damage with me. We're not always hitting the same target, but if we were, you see how fast they go down, right? Like, just Just think, okay, let's just take 6 of us all hitting the same target. Like, we're both able to kill people just fine on our own. But 6 of us hitting the same target, that person may last a second or 2 at tops. Like they're just instantly gone. So like, I don't know. There is a point where you hit a DPS wall, is basically what I'm saying. That it's just no longer fun, and there is no way for those players that still know how to play pretty well to express themselves as much as they used to be able to. And it's not a bad thing, I don't think, because obviously it makes it easier for new players, but these new players are not taking advantage of the opportunities that they have currently. Which is what I would love to encourage them to do, because they actually have more of a fighting chance against good players than they ever have. Like, ever. In the entire game. You've never had a better chance to get into PvP and Star Wars than you have now. You can bridge so many skill gaps that it's not even funny. There's so many things that are just wrong with balancing right now that you're able to take out people that might be leagues better than you just because you're able to either numbers advantage on them or just simply run into a situation where they don't have defensives, you have defensives. You can annihilate them, or even the situation of just them playing a worse class than you're playing. So you can abuse the fact that your class is meta, your class isn't. Because when it comes to meta and non-meta in this game, you have playable and unplayable. And then there's like talents for those unplayable classes that make them slightly more playable or even more unplayable. And on those classes, for example, Hatred, I usually take the even more unplayable talents because that's just my personal playstyle. And the same thing I do on Deception. I go full unplayable talents that just I shouldn't be allowed to get away with, but I do. And it's just because of finesse and being able to do an overwhelming amount of damage to kind of kill them before they kill me kind of situation, like a glass cannon. Not always is that going to happen. Sometimes I face a lot of opposition, which is why APPT is so good at that. Carnage used to be a great class for punishing people for tunneling them. Now it's APPT. That's just the way it is. Anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will catch you guys again tomorrow.